Mr. Sean Zahedi. We are here, the Executive VP at RAD Marketing. How are you today?
Great, man. Can't complain. I'm very happy. You know, I know we've never done this together. This is the first time for me and you. I'm very excited, and I hope your audience and your future clients going to basically benefit from this interview as
Exactly.
well.
And it's going to be a lot of value, a Bluechip conversation, right, with Bluechip Condos. And you guys have a lot on the run right now. And, you know, RAD Marketing's got such a rich history in the pre-con industry, bringing forth some of the industry's best projects, some of the most iconic.
Yes, absolutely. Like, if you look back, I mean, RAD is a fairly younger company.
Yep.
Having said that, we have a lot of veterans in the business. Me and my partners and colleagues actually involved. We've been in the business for over 30 years.
Wow.
So if you look at the number of projects that we've been involved with, so
Yep.
we're talking like St. Regis,
Yep.
Shangri-La, King Toronto. I think a lot of people probably have heard of King Toronto. We sold one of our penthouses to Elton John.
And that's huge.
That's huge. And last but not least, we're talking about One Delisle.
Yeah.
Same developer that's going to bring Corktown to Hamilton's market.
The latest and greatest project coming up.
So that was a great success. It's basically set the bar really high for luxury market in Toronto.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, that was happening in the midst of COVID in 2019.
Exactly.
And
when everyone else is kind of panicking, you guys, you know, rose to the occasion. And
so we got really, really big numbers, which to this date, we're getting a lot of compliments from our friends in industry. So that was a very great project for us, and it's Slate Asset Management.
And then in terms of the history of Slate Asset Management, right, the people bringing Corktown to life, what have they done in their portfolio aside from One Delisle, right? Where are they really based in? Because I know it's not just a Canadian company. They have a global footprint.
Yes. You know what? It's one of your dream stories they want to hear when it comes to Slate Asset Management. Initially founded by two brothers out of Burlington, but almost 20 years later, they grew this company to a level that is, we can call it a true global company.
Exactly.
So they have offices, their headquarters still in Toronto.
Yep.
They have offices in New York City, London, Frankfurt. Actually, I was in Germany myself last year. I visited that office. Ireland, you name it. Dallas, they're very, very global at this point. And they're known to have two of the largest REITs in grocery and office in U.S. So they're publicly traded companies. But I would say as of last few years, they started to, converting some of their assets to basically mixed use and residential as well.
Yeah.
So the very first one was Junction House. That is well under construction as we speak in Junction area. They're going through occupancy in summer of this year. And One Delisle. So that was a big story. So one thing is really interesting about Slate. They don't just go to any market or sub-markets and do one tower and they're out.
Yeah.
That's not their model. They go big. So that story started with Yonge and St. Clair.
Yeah.
They bought almost the entire intersection with 10 buildings.
Wow.
So this is very rare where you see one institution, one developer owns 4 corners of a major intersection in City of Toronto. And that's the case with Slate Asset Management and Yonge and St. Clair. So I have a huge plan for that project and that area. So they're bringing same type of vision to Hamilton market as well.
Exactly. And they have more land allocated than just the site for Corktown, because of course they have over 800 acres on the waterfront there.
Yes. Right? I'm glad that you touched base on that. So I think this story started last year. They went through acquisition of Stelco by the water.
Yeah.
That's 800 acre of basically huge industrial asset for them. We're at the verge of actually announcing the new name for that area. But that project alone, that Stelco project alone, is projected to bring over 30,000 jobs into Hamilton and surrounding pockets. And it's probably going to bring over or close to $4 billion to the economy of Hamilton and Ontario in general, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big plan. That's the same thing that they brought into Yonge and St. Clair as well. So, but Corktown is their very first mixed-use residential complex that we're bringing to Hamilton. So that's completely separate. The reason why I want to touch base on the Stelco is the scale of Slate's investment in this market. I think to this date, we're talking close to $1 billion investment by Slate Asset Management. And I believe we forgot to mention, they're managing over $12 billion asset under management across the globe.
Exactly.
So taking $1 billion of that and pumping to Hamilton's market, I believe that speaks volume.
Exactly. And the other thing is, when we talk about what they've actually completed and what's underway right now, their portfolio consists of over, I think, to the tune of something like 20 million square feet. right?
Correct.
Finished
Yep.
indoor space, and that's massive, right? How many other developers can really say that with confidence that they're backed by that kind of equity, and they have the pockets to be able to execute? Now, on this land specifically, right, you're in such a core downtown pocket. You're at John and Charlton and Hamilton. It's so easily accessible to everything, right? You're looking at the St. Joe's Hospital is less than a minute away. You're like
correct.
a 1 block. You're not even a block away from St. Joe's.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah.
When we're talking about the GO station, you're only a 2-3 minute walk away because it's only a block and a half.
Yep.
Right? So it's that convenience factor, and because location's the one thing you really can't change.
I'm glad that you brought that up. So if you look at the location of the site, Corktown site, right now the site's known as Corktown Plaza.
Yep.
So it's a strip plaza, and it's very central in downtown Hamilton. As you said, it's only 2-3 minute walk to GO Transit Hub. It's just block and a half to the north. And we also have hospitals. We have some of the campus, buildings by McMaster very close by. The future LRT stations coming only 4 or 5 minutes walk from this station. You can't get it any more central than this for Hamilton. Yeah,
exactly. And we have a massive partnership for this project specifically. And could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that. So we have almost same team who worked on One Delisle. From Janet Rosenberg for landscape. From us, sales and marketing, Vanderbrand, David York for rendering, and also Slate Asset Management as developer.
Wow.
One name is very interesting. I want to add that too. Bank of Montreal is partner on this site as well, and they're not just lenders; they're partner on this site. To the point that when I do my pricing, when you do anything to do with this project, we need to get green light from them as well, and that brings a lot of credibility to this project.
Exactly.
So the consumers can really expect something really amazing happening here, and they're going to see their product delivered to them on time, and that's very good. That's very important.
Exactly. And of course, with the team that you are mentioning, right, it's not just being delivered on time, it's going to be delivered to a really high standard and high degree of quality and finish, right? Because when you're talking about Slate, their previous projects have all been luxury.
Yes.
Right? So they're bringing that luxury aspect to Hamilton, with the New York-inspired design and amenities. You're bringing in on top of that such a true tried and tested team, and you bring in the financial backing of BMO and the financial backing that Slate has. You don't have to worry, because sometimes you see small developers come out of nowhere, there's a ridiculous PSF, and then the thing is, the biggest question you have to ask, is this even going to get built?
Yes.
And one thing I can say confidently is you don't have to ask that question here.
Yes.
Right?
So it's very critical, especially these days, that you work with reputable developer with some track record and financial backing. That's important too, because unfortunately we've heard some stories that it wasn't as fortunate for a lot of past purchasers. But I can assure you, between Slate Asset Management and the team involved, and especially Bank of Montreal, there's no doubt they're going to deliver not only something great on time, but also they bring a same level of craftsmanship and attention to detail that we had at One Delisle. So that's something that people missing in Hamilton's market. That's why we call it, this is the most affordable luxury in probably Southern Ontario, because the level of finishes, it's going to be very much at par with what you see in downtown Toronto, and that's something that you don't find in Hamilton. This is going to be first.
Exactly. Exactly. And above and beyond that, Hamilton as a whole, we have a great developer, we have a great location, but the city has a lot of things coming to it as well, where the government's committed over $4 billion to really revitalize and transform the city. And, let's be honest, it was long overdue.
Yes.
But the Hamilton of yesterday and the Hamilton of today is not going to be the Hamilton of the future. Right, where you have these massive corporations also really investing into the city, where you have Omnia Biotech bringing forth the state-of-the-art gene and cell therapy site. Right, and that's going to bring in another, I believe, somewhere to the tune of 20 to 30,000 new jobs. They're investing over $500 million there. Where you have, Bell Canada alone, they're investing $500 million into the 5G networks and the infrastructure in the area. And these are things that you're not seeing in every other city, and not every other city can claim this. Right, and beyond that $4 billion from the government, 3.3 is going towards that brand new LRT.
Yeah. I'm glad that we got here, because if you look at the overall investment projected from the government and private sector, we're talking billions of dollars in Hamilton. And why is that? A lot of people overlook the fact that the proximity to U.S. border is huge for Hamilton, right? And this is not just one of your sub-markets. This is a true full-on city. This is the 6th largest city in Canada.
Exactly.
So, and if you look at the numbers that we look at for immigration and newcomers, number of newcomers, I think after Toronto and Ottawa, they're attracting the most amount of newcomers to Hamilton.
Exactly.
Some is because of affordability, proximity to U.S. border, and all the infrastructure that's going to be coming to Hamilton, which includes like the LRT, the revitalization of Stelco, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So that's why you see this much happen in Hamilton. I would say between now and 5 years to 10 years from now, you're going to see 9 a day what's happening in Hamilton market.
Exactly. And you're mentioning how close it is to the U.S. border. Within, I think, a 100-kilometer radius, you actually have 5 border crossings of Hamilton.
Correct.
Right? And above and beyond that, within a 5-kilometer radius of the site, you have 4 hospitals.
Correct.
Right? And that's something that you really can't find in terms of when you're thinking about renting it out in the future. Hamilton also has 2 large post-secondary institutions, including McMaster, as well as their satellite campuses, and aside from the primary one, and the Mohawk College. And they alone are home to 60,000 students. Now you have 60,000 students. You've got 4 hospitals which have a ton of doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals, which in my opinion make some of the best tenants. Because they make great money. They just need to move around because of the nature of their job sometimes. And they're always very reliable, and that gives you a peace of mind. Right? And McMaster, it's not just their primary campus. A short walk away from the site, less than, I think 5 to 10 minutes, you have their continuing education center, which is where they have really, the graduate programs. You have the more mature students, and they're the ones who are going to want to live here, right?
Correct.
Partially as well. So it's really cool to see a city that has so much to offer. And it's not even what's coming there, it's what's already there, right? A lot of times you see projects and they give you the promise where they're like, schools are coming to the city. Like, for example, Brampton, there's a university coming there, quote unquote. Or it's going to take a while, right? It's going to take a little while for the med school to be relocated there, et cetera, et cetera. You're waiting on all these things. You already have hospitals. You already have universities. You already have a massive industrial sector that just needs a little bit of a revitalization. And that's all just going to get transformed with that government funding. So it's such a huge aspect that's at play. But, Hamilton does have a luxury pocket as well when you think of something like King William Street.
That's like Yorkville of Hamilton. You know what? Just to touch base on what you just mentioned. If you look at the link between the rental market and post-secondary schools and the number of students in Hamilton. So we went deep on this. And between Mohawk and McMaster, they have around 4,000 residences in Hamilton. But the number of students, 55 to 60,000. And in the last year alone, the number of international students in in McMaster grew by 17%.
Wow.
Mohawk, 31%.
Wow.
Where are these people going to go? So that's why if you look at those bungalows around the campus and everyone, they're trading around $1.4, $1.5 million. So this is big number. We also looked into like resale market for condo resale market in Hamilton. And we looked at the entire 2022 as an example from January till December of last year. And that was a staggering number. I was shocked myself. The average price sold, and these are not just listed, sold in Hamilton was north of $620,000.
Wow.
So that's a very big number. And on the other side, if you are to link this to the rental market, that's why you see it's a very, very hot market. We looked at one of the reports came out Q4 of 2022 by Bullpen. And that's basically suggesting that in terms of ranking, City of Toronto obviously is number 1 on the list. If you look at the GTA and surrounding area, North York, Etobicoke, and Hamilton and Richmond Hill sitting at par with the highest rental value right above Brampton, right above Mississauga, Vaughan, Markham, which is something that a lot of people don't know about, right? So, and as I said, me and my team, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We all invest in this project. We're buying units. And this is a great investment opportunity because you're in a very major city. Which also going to be a tech hub as well because of proximity to U.S.
Exactly.
With all these great offerings that we bring to the table in Corktown and the level of finishes that you cannot find in Hamilton's market. Today. So we haven't seen it. So obviously I'm not in liberty to discuss all the details. But we have a lot of firsts in Hamilton for this project. And that comes to not only incentives and the offering for the project, but also comes down to features and finishes of this very building as well.
Absolutely. And when you're touching base on the rental market there, it's not just that you see that it's a very strong rental market. Other developers and certain sort of the corporate investors, the private sector, they're putting up towers purely for rental.
Yep.
Right? I'm not going to name names.
Yeah.
But there's over 500 to 600 units being built currently less than 5 minutes away from the site that are purely for rental. Now, if a developer is willing to invest their hard-earned capital, 100, 200 million, to bring something like this to life, right? They're really showing confidence in the area, because in Hamilton right now, where else can you buy at a 40 to 50% discount compared to Toronto, yet you're able to get 70 to 80% of the rents?
Perfect.
Right? It really is. It's not one-to-one, and that's where the smart investors are able to capitalize, right? And I think you're really going to see that rental market take off even more so when the luxury offerings are there, because as more jobs come in, of course, people are going to be making a little bit more money. People are going to have those higher grade jobs, and they're going to want that luxury aspect. And when you look at the students, right? If someone spends 4 years in a city, they do a post-grad program, they spend an extra 2 years in a city. You just spent 6 years of your adult life in a given city. There's some sort of attachment you're going to have.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Right? And more than likely, you're going to want to spend a little bit more time there if you just want to move out and it's an affordable price point. You can actually get into the city and spend the rest of your life there, build out a life. Perfect. Right?
Yep.
So that's another huge thing that does exist within the Hamilton
and that explains
atmosphere.
why, if you look at the resale activities in Hamilton, whether you're looking at low-rise or condo sector, you've seen almost double digits every year growth in Hamilton market. So it's really, really explosive what we see in that market, because, like I said, if you are to go to the south of this very site, their house is trading north of $2 million in Hamilton. So so a lot of people don't realize, like, the rental market and resale market, both in low-rise and condo sector, it's very, very strong in Hamilton. And that speaks to the reason why a lot of these developers, a lot of these institutional guys and government, they're pumping money and their future investment into the city.
Exactly. And the other thing is, it's not just the price point that you're able to get in at, it's the timelines, right? When we're talking about something like Corktown, you have the ability to invest with an extended deposit. And I know we can't really touch on that per se, but it's going to be spread out over 3, 4, 5 years, right? For the entire deposit program there. You can buy about 5 to 6 years without a mortgage, more or less, right? You're buying yourself time.
Yes.
And during that time, you're still appreciating on the total value of that unit, right? And that's what a lot of people don't get, because even when you only have 5% of the deposit in the first, let's say 30 days, if that's the way the deposit structure is going to be, you're going to be building equity on, at almost a 10x lever, or more than that even.
Yep.
Right? A 20x lever, sorry.
Yeah.
Right? On that 5%. So it's massive.
A lot of people, you know what? I'm sure if you have a lot of savvy investors in your circle, but if you look at like some of the newer type of investors that are trying to tap into pre-construction, they overlook the fact that the number one reason people invest in pre-construction is basically leveraging time, right? And building equity over time.
Exactly.
Yes, you might find some projects that are closing in a year, 2 years, lower price point. But when you look at 5 year, 6 year time horizon, so you have way more time to build equity and you see much greater return on your investment, right? So that's why people shouldn't always look at the end price point. They have to look at everything as a package, right? They look at everything in perspective. The timeline, a reputable developer, finishes, extended deposit, shuttle, everything that we have in one package versus focusing on one aspect of our offering.
And I know you mentioned the shuttle. Do you want to touch a little bit more on that? Because that's such a unique feature. You really don't see that anywhere else. And it really adds that convenience to the lifestyle of the residents that are going to be in this building.
Yes. So as you may all know, and your audience, those who've been actively, investing or basically involved with pre-construction, unfortunately, we don't have enough parking spots in most projects for every buyer, right? So one of the issues that we had here, we said, okay, how is it we can tackle that issue? Because I know a lot of investors, a lot of, they're concerned about their future tenants. Am I going to be able to rent it without parking, right, for small units? So what we did, knowing the fact that 50 to 55% of this building is like 1 bedroom, 1 plus 10, if not more, we said, okay, you know what? We're going to find a company to help us with shuttle service. And that's a daily shuttle service that's going to serve the building. and it's going to take you to McMaster, GO Train, and probably some other destinations throughout the city as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a great addition to our offering,
Yeah.
which has not been seen in Hamilton's
Exactly.
market. It makes it even more special for those who are looking to invest in lower price point,
Yeah.
smaller units,
Yeah.
in hoping that to be able to rent to future tenants.
Exactly.
Because you don't need to have car.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't tell you all the details about that.
Exactly.
We're waiting for our official launch day.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a great offering on top of everything else we have for this project.
Exactly. And the nice thing is that's sort of just a cherry on top, because the way Hamilton is trading and the way it's trending, what it's going to grow into, it's really going to be a metropolitan city where you don't need a car per se, right? Because when you have an LRT connecting the city end to end, when you have a GO station that connects you, across the different suburbs, and then beyond that, you actually have your own airport.
Yep.
Hamilton has its own airport.
Yes,
and,
international airport.
International airport.
Yes.
And that's the huge thing. They're actually, I know the government is investing a bit more to add a few more exotic destinations there, right? Like currently, of course, you could do your average, your Mexico, your Cubas of the world, your Las Vegas, things like that. A lot of domestic flights within North America. But they're looking to add a few more destinations as well to really add that, the X factor to Hamilton, right? Because you get the airport, you get the GO station, you get the LRT, you have your local transit, of course, already. And now at this site, on top of that, you have your own private shuttle.
Yep.
What else do you need?
Yes, actually, you know what? It's funny. One of our mutual friends sent me a text the other day and said, and he searched Hamilton's a global city.
Yeah.
And it is. Why?
Yeah.
Because you have all the infrastructure you need for, like from airport to, expansion and to post-secondary, from LRT, you name it. The explosion of all these offerings coming to Hamilton it's massive. And that's going to tell you why you, as an investor, you want to get into this project early on. Because I'll give an example. If you look at Waterloo, for example, before having LRT and now
4 or 5
after
years ago.
LRT, that was a huge shift in the market.
Exactly.
And now people see huge return. I'm talking about the initial
people who got
list
it
of people
early,
got it early,
right?
right? Same thing happened into Hamilton's market. But I don't think that's going to last long, because another thing we're noticing, I think I touched base on that too, after Toronto and Ottawa, Hamilton's attracting a lot of newcomers as well. So and with the number of people expected to come to Canada and in Southern Ontario, I think a lot of people are going to go gravitate towards Hamilton's because of affordability and all these infrastructure as well.
Exactly. In the city right now, you're sitting at right around 600,000 residents. By 2050, their target is to grow by over 25%. Right?
True.
They're looking for extremely aggressive growth, and they're looking for the job growth to be almost on par as well. So when you have that coming to fruition, of course prices aren't going to stay the same, because even though there's a ton of cranes in the ground, and Hamilton, even 2 years ago, I had people who were out with me on site recently, and they're like, I went to school here a couple of years ago. I want to take a look around, but it looks so different.
So different. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All of a sudden, why are there so many cranes? Why are there so many new buildings? That's where Hamilton's headed. And the matter of the fact is, even though with all these cranes, you're not building fast enough, right? The red tape's not being lifted fast enough. Builders can't capitalize fast enough because it takes time.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Right?
That cycle is very long.
Yeah.
And I look at the number of, basically the list of cities that, in terms of approval process,
Yeah.
and Hamilton is one of the ones on top of the list in terms of how hard it is to get your project to fruition. That can be like a 10-year plan, from day one all the way to delivering the product, right?
Exactly.
So, but the demand's definitely there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people love the fact that Hamilton is still a city that they can afford.
Yeah.
Yet have all the infrastructure, all the, bells and whistles of a major city like Toronto at the fraction of the cost. Because right now we're talking about, I think if you look at Urban Nation's latest report, we're talking almost 52% lower in new developments pricing in Hamilton versus Toronto. Whereas the rental market, it's very much close, and you don't see that gap. So that basically tells your clients that the ROI on investment is going to be very great in Hamilton's market.
Exactly, and it's something you're just not going to see anywhere else. Now, in terms of the project itself for Corktown, what are we kind of looking at for in terms of the tower, in terms of the views? What are people going to really be able to see, and what can they expect for the building?
Yes, so if you look at the project itself, so we have two towers.
Yep.
So one is a 27-story, the other one is 14-story tower. Yep. We're going to bring the 27-story first.
Yep.
So you have everything you can think of in terms of amenities on the top floor, on the 27th floor. Yep. We also have a lot of basically amenities in the other tower as well, like zero edge swimming pool,
That's gorgeous.
multi-purpose rooms, co-working space, lounge, you name it. Everything that a world-class project can bring to the table, we have it in Corktown. So in terms of like exposures, Hamilton is a reverse. I know you know Hamilton's really well, but for your audience who may or may not know that, so the water and Ontario Lakes located on the north side versus south in Toronto, right? So obviously our north view is going to be very attractive for people who want to see water view. But I would say safe to say like you go like 15, 16 story or higher, you're going to have amazing view on all four side of the building.
Exactly. Whether it's the escarpment, whether it's the water, there's a little bit of something for everyone, on the south.
And it's very green. If you look at it, you have a lot of forests, a lot of greeneries, you have beautiful hills on the south side as well. And you can't go wrong. Actually, we managed to send drone up and get some footage of what the potential view is going to be. Beautiful. Everything's green, it's green, so it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. One funny thing a lot of people don't know about Hamilton is it's actually like the waterfall capital of the world.
So it is.
It has the most waterfalls of any other
Number
city.
one in the world.
In the entire world, and that's huge. Right? So for someone who likes to get out, and I do a lot of hiking myself, especially when the weather's a little nicer like it is now, right? Hamilton's always a spot I end up in. Right? Because there's so many trails. So if you're someone who really enjoys the outdoors, the lifestyle's not lost. Even though it's becoming that large metropolitan city, just, a 5-minute drive outside of the city, you've got all these beautiful, gorgeous hiking trails. And there's such a historic component as well. Because in terms of architecture, in terms of, you've got Dundurn Castle, you've got Battlefield Memorial, all these really historic sites, just, a stone's throw away from the city.
It's a very historical city as well, right? People forget about that. And this city is very big into arts as well. Like it's art, music, like a lot of film studios opening up and expanding in Hamilton's market.
Exactly.
A lot of those amazing, Hollywood movies that you see, chances are they shot them in Hamilton as well. And they're expanding on those studios as well.
Exactly. That's just so rare to find. And you get that really nice, the balanced lifestyle, right? Being on the water, being really close to the water, having the nature, but still having the connectedness.
If I want to wrap, so from transit, you have Go Transit and Go Hub literally a couple minutes down. You have hospital, 1 minute walk from the side. Future LRT station is going to be only 5-minute walk from the side. If you are to look at North View, you have beautiful water view of Lake Ontario as well. And you probably have everything in terms of your list and you check everything on the box,
Pretty much for every single box, whether you're an investor, whether you're an end user, you're looking for your next home. This is that opportunity that if you miss out, the next project or even the next release in this pocket, I guarantee it's not going to be at the same price point nor at the same quality.
Let me tell you something. We are almost like a few days away from the actual main launch event, right? And I can't tell you how overwhelming the number of calls and inquiries been so far. And as a matter of fact, we're in our office, some of my team members, taking calls and RSVPs for events. So it's been very overwhelming because those who have heard some about our offering and this project, very excited about this opportunity.
Exactly. And last Saturday alone, we were there, I was at the site personally doing site tours for my clients, and I was there for over 12 hours. Right? That is the demand. We were booked through the day. We had to open up new slots on Sunday just to go back and service individuals who weren't able to fit into our schedule on Saturday. And that just speaks volumes because the buzz is back in the market. And, the smart investors, if they're able to tap in now, they're going to look back and say, I wish I would have bought 2. I wish I would have bought 3.
So I'll give you a few examples. Like, for example, if you look at Vaughan, right? Or Mississauga, like downtown Mississauga. If you were to go back like 8-10 years ago, it wasn't what it is today.
Exactly.
Right? People could get into that market for like meet $400 a foot, $500 a foot, right? But look at what it is today, right? I think same level of projected growth, basically coming to Hamilton market.
Exactly.
And I think there's a lot of room for growth. And the fact that this project's closing time is going to be very long, like 2028. So that's going to give a lot of time to investors to basically build equity and benefit from their investment, in this project.
Absolutely. So looking forward to the launch. Thank you again for having taking the time out of your day to sit down for a Bluechip conversation. And we'll see you at the launch.
Looking forward to work with you. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.